Hurmatli bugungi yig'ilishimiz ishtirokchilari, good morning, dear participants of today's event, today's meeting. Also we called our meeting as a national consultations. It is a national consultations on Stockholm plus 50 and discussing our green agenda. In a simple words, it's our coordination meeting. It's I would say that it's the first official coordination meeting together in a broad sense with our development partners and donor organizations with whom we are working on a green agenda. And we are very pleased to see you here and welcome. So maybe there are some shortcomings and drawbacks in organizational methods, so please forgive us for that. But for the next meeting, we will have a good preparation and more people to come and to discuss very good issues, I think. And today it's also going to be very interesting. I will not talk too much in order to give some opportunity to speak to other friends and colleagues as well. So today Ms. Matilda Dimowska is participating, our main coordinating the body UNDP, and from FAD Mr. Vincent Coupen, and so from EBRD Alkis Drakenos, and other colleagues from World Bank, GIZ, and so other organizations from GGI. So please forgive me if I don't call the name of some organizations. So if you remember, maybe 2 or 3 years before, green agenda, and it was mainly on papers in our country. If you would say, we are going to develop and implement green economy strategy, people, they would say, okay, this is something from a different world. And pandemic has shown that this is important, and government of Uzbekistan also revisited the topic, and in our new growth strategy for the next 5 years, green model takes a huge role, and a big component of our growth agenda is directly or indirectly related to issues of climate change, green economic model, decarbonization, and other relevant directions. 1 year before, we didn't even have people at the Ministry of Economic Development. So even so, it's a leading agency, almost 1 year, maybe, So today we have a department. We are working very closely with our international partners, and today we have advanced in a sense of understanding, and we also prepared a very good strategic framework, a framework which is mainly on implementation of the green strategy, and we are going to present this with the help of UNDP. And very good news that while we discussed, in a constructive way, the issue of decarbonization with our partners, including EBRD, now we are able to, say you that we are going to join Methane Pledge as well. This is one of the good news. And other, practical things that you already heard, that our nationally determined contribution that we announced during the COP26, it's decreasing the intensity of carbon emission, CO2 emission by 35%, but it's not the thing that we are going to stop at. We are working, on other bigger commitments. And today's coordination meeting also is a kind of opening the gate towards the implementation or towards moving the practical things. And that's why, we are here to discuss and exchange of the views, what we can do better together, how we can coordinate our work in terms of, implementation, in terms of picking up the pilot projects. And I can tell you the one good story that recently I heard, while we are traveling to regions, and they are saying that, we have to move towards the green projects because it's good, in terms of using the resource efficiently, etc., etc. People were looking at us that this person came somewhere from Mars or, Neptune or, from different planet. But good news that we recently heard a presentation from Bukhara region Hakimiyat. They were saying that this is a green project and this is the way we have to go, because if we go from this direction, we will get a lot of support and a lot of investment. So it's more about the transformation of our mindsets as well, in a greater sense and a greater public. So it's good. So first of all, we have to understand the importance. It's not, like as I said, because everyone is saying it's a necessity, and the people, they started to understand. And we have to accelerate the process, and there should be many stakeholders, and there should be ownership. And so this is I think one of our main tasks. And basically, our strategic framework has a big space for that as well. Next thing that I want to throw for discussion, maybe our colleagues, they will also touch upon this issue, carbon pricing. So this is also important. And another thing is that picking up the pilots on, using the water and land resource efficiently, where GIZ can be, or UNDP, even EBRD is also helping. If even so, EBRD is mainly on private sector commercial financing, so they are also trying to help. World Bank is helping us from the both project financing and capacity building, and they are taking a lead role in coordinating our work together with development partners. So and another topic that we started to move to think on more practical angle is implementing ESG as well. So I can call some other directions, but I will stop here and let me give the floor to Ms. Dimowska, and so maybe she will also, talk on the importance of the issue. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Hurmatli Janob Nurkulov, Hanamlar, Janablar, Assalamu alaikum. And in fact, Mr. Nurkulov, it's really a great pleasure to be at this event and speaking after you, because I think that you covered many of the points that I wanted to make. But let me summarize it where we see the developments in terms of the green growth in Uzbekistan are going. Indeed, there have been a very big progress made. If we compare from last year, for example, in March last year, we have had one forum, Green Recovery Forum. It was in the aftermath of the COVID. So at that stage, if I compare with this, definitely there are a lot of developments. We see that Uzbekistan is advancing the green growth of at least 3 fronts. First, on the policy front, the new Uzbekistan strategy, development strategy, has the climate action and environment, the green growth there. We have had even before the the strategy for transitioning to the green economy. And in the meantime, so many efforts have been made to make it operational. So that is a policy front. On the other side, there are so many initiatives, commitments of the government being taken, being it the increased nationally determined commitments to the Paris Agreement, being it the renewed emphasis and investments in the RLC, and the beautiful initiative of Yeshil Macron, which is rolling out. Congratulations for the readiness for the decisions to join the methane pledge and the interest to work on the carbon pricing mechanism. And the third area I wish to stress that the government has been advancing very much is on the understanding that the complexity of this topic requires a deeper research, analysis, knowledge and ideas. So hence we sit in this fresh building and in the coinciding this event with the opening of the Green Hub. I wish to say one also point around this about the country platform on the green growth. The government also was very much keen and interested to establish a platform that will unite the development partners around the topic of green growth, and that will become functional in terms of supporting in the best way this overall effort of Uzbekistan. And it's really great that this platform was used to contribute to this strategic framework for the green growth, the document that will be presented today. I wish to stress one point around that document. In fact, it was a joint effort of the government and the partners. Now it's about its implementation, and the government to take it further, but also as development partners to center our work around it. Finally, we are using this event also to start the consultations around titled Stockholm plus 50, and that comes based on the agreement reached at the UN General Assembly level to convene such a meeting, a healthy planet for the prosperity of all, in Stockholm in June this year. In Uzbekistan, with support of the government of Sweden, but not only in Uzbekistan and in many other countries, UNDP is supporting our consultation processes, and we will have the first one here in this event centered around the strategic framework, and the next will be in Nukus. More will come later. Let me stop here. UNDP stands ready to continue the support, and particularly for the implementation of the strategic framework. Carbon pricing mechanisms, green financing are at the core of what we are doing. And then I finish by congratulating to all of us the coming Ramadan Eid. Eid Ramadan Mubarak Boston. Ahmed.
Thank you, Matilda. Actually, so even so, we are coming from diverse organizations, and but it's like we are working under the same roof of fighting against the climate change and the green economy. And it's good that we are working like as one team, and we became, thanks to these topics, we are becoming very, very close and good friends. And thanks. So, if I can ask, is Jane online from World Bank?
Yes,
so can
I'm
I give
online.
the floor to Jane? Jane, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me well?
It's a bit, I think we have to make the voice louder.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, is that better?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm very pleased to be in this consultation meeting today, and I would like to extend my apologies on behalf of Marco Mantanovelli, the country manager for the World Bank in Tashkent. He's unfortunately overseas today and in a time zone where he can't connect. So we wanted to make a few remarks on his behalf. We're delighted to see the progress and the priority that's been placed on the green growth agenda by the government of Uzbekistan, and also to see how this is translating into action today through the green growth strategic framework, the detailed action plan that accompanies it, and also the Green Hub, which will be the focus of today's discussion. Up until recently, as you know, economic growth has been driven largely by resource extraction and manufacturing, which means that Uzbekistan is among the most intensive emitters of greenhouse gases globally, and continued sustainable resource use together with climate change will threaten natural capital and exacerbate natural disaster risks and impacts. So a more environmentally sustainable growth model like the one that's going to be discussed, which approaches sustainable land systems and greener energy production, can also contribute to a more sustainable future, but also create new jobs in emerging fields. Bearing in mind the importance of green growth for Uzbekistan's development, the World Bank's new... Hello? I think someone online is not muted. So there's a bit of feedback on my side.
There is some noise. Yeah. So please continue.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that given the strong emphasis being placed on green growth, the World Bank has a new country partnership framework for Uzbekistan that will span the period 2022 to 2026. And we're going to place a special emphasis on supporting the green economic transition and making sure that's sustainable. So this will do things like help accelerate the transformation of the electricity sector to make it more carbon neutral, create incentives for green investment in key industries, support the adoption of low carbon technologies, invest in land restoration, water security, and climate smart agriculture, as well as sustainable cities. All of this is going to require a very long-term commitment and institutional coordination across the government and among partners is going to be key to realizing this vision. So on the World Bank side, we're very committed to continue to be a trusted partner of the government, to continue working very closely and collaboratively with development partners and other stakeholders. We've launched a set of work to support these activities, including climate and environmental institutional assessment, an issues note that will take stock of progress on green growth that will be completed at the end of June, and also a long-term strategy for decarbonisation together with the government and other development partners. On the bank side, we're additionally launching shortly a country climate and development report for Uzbekistan. The aim of this report is to look at the interplay between development issues like poverty reduction, growth and inequality, climate change and climate policy. And the aim is to identify priorities for action in the next 5 years that can help improve development outcomes. So this is a new activity which will be commencing soon. So with that, I'll close my remarks for now, but very much look forward to today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. So even so at the beginning there was some noise, so now it's good. We heard you, and thank you very much for the good points and your key message on behalf of the World Bank. And I have to say again, I will not stop repeating. We are becoming more active. Jane, you have to move to Tashkent. so otherwise it's going. Yeah. So with this, I want to give the floor to Mr. Kupan, and French Agency for Development is also a good partner, and they are helping us a lot from different angles. So from the policy side, from the financing, and also from technical support in the sense of capacity building. So, regarding these and other issues, maybe Mr. Kupan can, briefly touch upon. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mr. First Deputy Minister. Indeed, I share what has already been said about the progress that we have been able to do together. And when we look at where we were 1 year ago and the way we have come today, I think this is very good news for two reasons. The first one is that green growth is by definition being a cross-sector issue. It's a complex one. And the second reason is that it needs a lot of coordination. And when usually we have cross-sector issues with needing a lot of coordination, often we are stuck, in fact. And this is not the case here. So this is a good point. And the second reason why it's a good point is that when we look at the way forward, the journey ahead, in fact, we have still a long journey. So it's good to see that we are together in this direction. As well, on our side, we very welcome the inauguration of this Green Hub, because it's a way to embody a policy having a specific location. So, and we wish to be able to come back very often in this very nice room, by the way, and building. I just want as well to mention that on the French Development Agency side, our contribution to the collective effort is that we have signed a loan agreement last week to accompany the green growth policy of the government, and it's a loan of 150 million euro, and with technical expertise attached to it. And I will stop here. I just want to thank all the teams from the Ministry of Economic Development, from UNDP, World Bank, French Development Agency, and all these all other institutions for the work that has been done so far, because I think we have a good way, a good work and good coordination. Thank you. I stop here.
Thank you, Vincent. Since the beginning, we are talking, on the research side, since we first met with you, it was last year or 2 years before, and dividing our, the broad coordination into two main blocks, like on the implementation side and the research, because we need more knowledge and more analytical, backup and support for that. And so I think the launch of the Green Hub is one of the next practical things. So the idea is, again, I will repeat, so to bring all this coordination on research and analysis, and basically we have lots of experts are already coming to Uzbekistan to work, and the idea is to unite them and to bring together them in this Green Hub. And if you allow me, so I want to also give a floor to Mr. Alkis Drakinos, head of the EBRD office in Tashkent. And EBRD is also, helping us, and we have very ambitious plans together to work on a green agenda. Please, Alkis, the floor is yours.
Dear Ilham, thank you very much for giving me the floor. I will try to be brief. It's not part of the program, but I want to thank you for organizing today's event. I want to thank every participant, all the partners, and of course AFD, World Bank, UNDP for being and joining the government efforts, and we join them and you to achieve an ambitious green agenda going forward. I wanted to say that There is a convergence of targets among the government, the EBRD, and many people around us sitting on the table, convergence of targets. We have our own strategic capital framework. Then Uzbekistan has its own green strategy for 2030. Then the new Uzbekistan strategy all have a green element. We want to become a green bank by financing at least 50% of all our projects should have a green element as of 2025 onwards. In Uzbekistan, we have already started investing before engaging into policy dialogue even. So we have supported already renewables projects in wind and solar. The total capacity of these projects is 700 megawatts. Right now, and we have on the policy front, with the Ministry of Energy, we have achieved to get a low carbon pathway approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. So this is a commitment that the country will have zero net on energy generation by 2050. So this is an important commitment in the energy sector. But then we ask ourselves, what about the other sectors? And that's where we started working with you, Ilhom, and the Ministry of Economy and Poverty Reduction, and our partners to see what will happen in the rest of the economy. So, as Jane mentioned before on the screen, we are working, and not only with the World Bank, but so I take the lead from her, that we are working as IFIs together on a decarbonization for the whole economy, a strategy, a paper, a concept note that will help us allocate tasks to every participant here on specific priorities, because it's a big job and a complicated one. And we have specific strengths. Each partner has their own specific points of strength and expertise. So we want to identify this and help you achieve it. We signed an MOU during the COP26 in Glasgow, and that helped us, gave us some strength to continue working together on the NDCs and on decarbonizing the economy. And now, congratulations, as Matilda mentioned, to you for joining for announcing joining the methane pledge that would allow, at least for EBRD, additional investments in areas that we would not otherwise be willing to invest, like in gas infrastructure, for example. Right? Because we becoming a green bank, we have a fossil fuels reluctance. And we are not the only ones. Other IFIs as well join that. So that gives us the window of opportunity to invest more. Uzbekistan, some other countries maybe are the same if they also sign, but Uzbekistan in particular with meeting these targets with investments. So not only policy work, but with investments. And that's it. From me, thank you very much for inviting and for giving me the floor to say all these things. And good luck for today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for joining our today's event. Thank you. And with this, I want to give the role of moderator to Doina. And so I think it's so it is a session for discussing our green strategic framework. Please also take it as a final call, because it's already elaborated. So we are open for final comments, and many international organizations and representatives from the government agencies are also here. And I see mainly the young colleagues, and it's good that they will be working in the future with the strategic framework. That's why, so please take an active role and give your comments and feedbacks. So, and then we will finalize the comments and go for public. We will announce the public discussion this document before it goes to the government in order to be signed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Norkulov. Good morning, dear distinguished guests, colleagues. It's a great pleasure to reach this phase and have this discussion of the Green Growth Strategic Framework that has gone through a thorough development process. So we have planned for 1 hour and a half for this session. We'll see how we're going to manage through it. We'll hear from the lead consultant who was working together with many of the development partners and IFIs present here in the room and the government representatives to put together this Green Growth Strategic Framework. Then we'll have a discussion on the proposed approach and roadmap, co-facilitated by Ms. Jane Ebinger. And then we aim to wrap up and to hear from key partners once again. So with this, I'm pleased to give the floor to Mr. David Maradan, who is joining us from Geneva. He's online. And I hope we'll have a smooth intervention. David, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I will just start by sharing my screen first, maybe, so you can see our presentation here. Is it working on your side?
Yes, we see.
Yes.
We hear you well.
Thank you. So I think it's now clear why a transition to a green economy, as said in the opening remarks, is needed in Uzbekistan. And actually, Uzbekistan is already on the way to do so. So now what we would like to do is to present the Green Growth Strategic Framework, that we have prepared during the last 3 months. We have been working on that with a great team of national and international consultants, with the help of the donor organization and the ministry. So we are clearly thankful on that. And during the last 3 weeks, my associate in Ecosist, Jonathan Barclay, clearly worked on bringing all that materials together in order to constitute a document without too much redundancy and with some good coherence. So I will leave him now the floor to present the Green Growth Strategic Framework in details.
Thank you very much, David. Good morning, everyone. So many elements have now been mentioned on contextual opportunities for setting general green growth ambition. In particular, the goals and objectives of the GGSF build on and reinforce synergies of already existing strategic frameworks at the national level, such as, but not limited to, the 2019-2030 Transition to Green Economy Strategy and the 2022-2026 Development Strategy of Uzbekistan, which were here are 2 main sources, if I may say. So overall, these goals aims at, as you see on the slide, significantly increasing energy efficiency by fostering technological modernization, developing financial incentives for the adoption of green technologies, defining targets for energy saving and energy efficiency, as well as conducting energy management audits. The second goal aims at increasing participation of the population and local communities by providing the necessary resources, opportunities to the regions to conduct their integrated socio-economic development and enabling population to voice their needs. Expanding the coverage and increasing the efficiency of the provision of public services was key as well for this second objective, as well as setting the framework conditions for achieving increased human well-being and economic mobility. The third goal of the GGSF aims at creating an enabling environment for the transition to a green economy, namely by supporting green investments, reducing state participation in the economy, developing state incentives, public-private partnerships, and enhanced cooperation with international financial institutions, as well as supporting private investors in the implementation of green innovation. Next slide, please. Thank you. The structure of the report can be broken down into 3 main parts. First of all, the first part aims at covering an introduction, identifying needs as well as goals, and describing the key themes, which are at a number of 6 main themes and 3 cross-cutting themes, which we'll cover on the next slide, which aim at addressing these needs and goals. The second part aims at detailing the action plan, as well as identifying generic priorities. And the third part aims at covering monitoring and assessment aspects for the follow-up of this action plan. So these 2 second parts will also obviously be covered. Finally, the appendixes aim at illustrating how the action plan can be further developed at the implementation level. So we'll also have a glimpse at these appendices. Next slide, please. As consumer preferences and global trading regimes become more climate and environmentally aware, Uzbekistan has more reason to pivot away from a business as usual approach to one that enhances innovation-driven development in the private sector. Uzbekistan can chart a sustainable pathway for economic development along 6 green growth blocks and 3 key cross-cutting themes with specific sectoral priorities embedded within these main areas. These are, as you can read, first off, a sustainable and efficient use of natural resources over land and water elements in particular, strengthening resilience to natural disasters and climate change, green and low carbon development of industry and the economy, innovation and effective green investment, sustainable and inclusive urbanization, as well as support for people and places most impacted by the transitions. These were the 6 main themes we addressed, and the 3 cross-cutting themes are aiming to address capacity building and human capital development, enabling policy environment and effective institutions, and developing green finance mechanisms. Next slide, please. This slide presents the linkages between themes and objectives. Special attention has been paid to the consistency of the action plan with other existing national and international strategies, as mentioned previously. In particular, presidential decrees have been used as a guidance for selecting the measures. But this action plan also is aligned with national reports and strategy documents, as well as donors' country strategies and reports on topic areas, which have been used as an opportunity to broaden the discussion and ground the identified priorities in the current socio-political reality of Uzbekistan. Of course, the report details these different resources. Next slide, please. So now we'll have a brief overview of the measures identified for each of the themes. We'll not go through each measure specifically because that might be a bit tiresome, but we'll just aim at giving a quick insight of challenges to tackle for each of the themes. The content and format of each of the measures will then be presented after the overview. So please bear with us. For each of the themes, I'll present key elements or topics that the action plan aims to address. So for theme 1, sustainable landscapes, forest restoration, and establishment of natural resource-based practices could generate multiple benefits. This is addressed by measure 1.1 and 1.3, amongst others. While challenges remain, crop diversification and water-saving agricultural techniques coupled with landscape restoration could provide opportunities for Uzbekistan. This is addressed by measure 1.1 and 1.4. Achieving food security is one of the country's top priorities, and finding agricultural solutions that provide for a growing population while conserving water resources is essential, which is tackled by measure 1.5. Finally, state-owned enterprises, reforms, and opportunities for private sector financing of irrigation through public-private partnerships will continue to be critical for future sustainable growth. This is addressed by 1.6 and 1.7, again, amongst others. Next slide, please. For theme 2, timely supply and quality of hydrological, weather, and climate information are a foundation for assessing and mitigating climate risks. This is addressed by measures 2.2, 2.4, and 2.6. To reduce exposure to increasing disaster risks, investments in critical assets and infrastructure are required, including in nature-based approaches. addressed here by 2.7, 2.8, and 2.9, amongst others. At the household, business, and national level, financial resilience and physical resilience could implement and reinforce each other. This is covered through many measures, including 2.3, 5, 10, 11, and 12. Next slide, please. For theme 3, reserves and potential of minerals critical for low carbon development in Uzbekistan could result in significant opportunities and should be explored, which is ensured by measure 3.1. 3.1 also addresses market failures as part of a broader green growth policy package. Diversifying the energy mix, including development of renewable energy resources, while reducing energy intensity, pollution, and carbon emissions are important objectives, which are dealt with in measures 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and 5. Finally, adopting circular economy practices could promote and drive the greening of infrastructure and the modernization of industrial enterprises. This is the final 3.6 measure. Next slide, please. For theme 4, significant public and private investment will be important to unlock Uzbekistan's growth potential, requiring policy and institutional reforms to create incentives and enhance opportunities for participation in global value chains. This is addressed by measure 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And innovation policy and readiness of national innovation systems are fundamental for the green transition of Uzbekistan. This is addressed by the two final measures, 4.8 and 4.9. Next slide, please. For theme 5, a slightly shorter list of measures, there are numerous opportunities to develop tourism that could revitalize the urban economy. This is the aim of 5.1 and 5.2. Promoting greener, more compact, and inclusive urbanization will have multiple benefits for citizens, the private sector, as well as the government. This is covered by 5.3. And finally, urban forests, building retrofits, sustainable transport and waste management, clean air, and green tourism will all increase the livability and productivity of Uzbekistan cities. So a broad scope here, which is dealt with measured 5.4. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. For theme 6, a successful green transition will require a suitably trained workforce with new skills, both for new emerging jobs and for existing jobs that are evolving. This is addressed by measure 6.1 and 6.4. The green transition will not only create opportunities, but also new challenges to the livelihood, which have to be addressed by the government. This is addressed by 6.2 and 6.5. And finally, the delivery of better jobs over the long term will require comprehensive policies in support of training and skills development, labor mobility, and local economic development during the green transition. This is addressed by 6.3 and 6.5, amongst others. So now we've covered the main 6 themes. Moving on now to the cross-cutting themes. Capacity building and human capital development are critical, serving as drivers for Uzbekistan on its path to green economy. For theme A, existing research facilities of Uzbekistan could be utilized for innovation, research, and development, whilst facilitating green education and innovation is necessary as well. Green economy aspects must be introduced in educational research, training, retraining processes, and Uzbekistan has viable infrastructure for streamlining green education here. Finally, capacity development and awareness raising must also be done. So these three elements have been addressed in the 8 measures which you see here on the screen. Moving on to the next slide. Green growth relies as much on effective institutions as on capital and technologies. In order to accelerate the transition to a green economy, the government could strengthen the laws, institutions, and organizations shaping its economic and environmental policies. Here are 4 guiding pillars served as inspiration for us to formulate the measures. First off, coordination of policies and resources and regulations across government. Second, information, data, and evidence base for the green economy. Third, improving transparency and accountability. and fourth, improving private sector and civil society participation altogether. So these four guiding pillars shape the 11 measures which you see on the screen for theme B. And finally, the cross-cutting theme C, green finance. So building up the Uzbek green economy will require significant investment from the public and private sector. To increase financial flows to green projects, the government of Uzbekistan could implement a green finance agenda. Two guiding pillars here served as inspiration for the formulation of measures. First, fiscal policy reforms and development with the aim of greening the system. And second, setting public financial management tools here with the aim of improving resource allocations towards green activities. So next slide, please. We've now covered the 6+3 key themes of the GGSF. On this slide, you see how the tables highlight key priorities in generic terms. They present the set of measures for each theme. Here was the illustration of measure C.1. And they describe their implementation mechanisms, i.e. the steps or the outputs of the measures, as well as the form of the implementations. So these are the two following columns you see on the table. In addition, the table also highlights duration, costs, and responsibilities expected for each of the measures. These are the final three columns to the right of the table. The appendices, which I mentioned earlier, aim at also illustrating how the action plan can be further developed at the implementation level. So this Appendix 1, which you see, aims at detailing implementation description at a measure level. So here we have the example for measure 2.1 as an illustration, which is then declined into actions or steps, and can be further detailed into sub-actions with key focus on outputs, indicators, responsible agencies, finances, and so on. Appendix 2 presents a generic monitoring procedure, which is also described in the report, on a 5-year cycle with the different steps of monitoring. So moving on quite quickly here also to Appendix 3 in order to show how this appendix aims to illustrate how output and outcome indicators have been identified in relation to the objective of measures and actions in the GGSF at this final fifth section of monitoring and assessment. So moving on quite quickly here, just to illustrate again this section 5.5 more specifically, where we have regrouped these illustrations of indicators. The table here gives an example for theme 4 of what kind of indicators could be developed and informed for monitoring. They are classified in relation to the measures they relate to, and also according to the nature, which is either output or outcome as described in the previous slide in Appendix 3. So all the procedure here is detailed obviously in the GGSF. I might now hand the floor back over to Jane, I guess, for the discussion related to priorities identification.
Thank you very much, David, for summarizing what was the result of a few months of work and co-creation among a number of partners. Indeed, now we have to proceed to hear your views, to be part when we will exchange, and Jane has kindly agreed to facilitate the session. We don't see you yet on the screen, Jane, but if you can start speaking, we will. Yes, wonderful. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, and thank you also to David and Jonathan for that very comprehensive presentation. You know, there's a lot of information that's been presented. We spoke about ways to ensure the more sustainable use of natural resources and to strengthen resilience to disasters and climate change. We talked about how to reduce emissions, promote innovation and green investments. And we talked about how to make sure urbanization was more inclusive and sustainable and people aren't left behind in this transition. With all of that, we need to ensure there are the right skills and capacity to implement this plan, to ensure that there are right policies and institutions to facilitate its implementation and to attract green finance. So that's the core of what we're looking at. We would like to hear from participants in this meeting what your initial reactions are to what's been presented, the draft strategic framework, the key priorities that have been put on the table, and the proposal for developing this more detailed action plan. We know that this is a lot to take in, so this is a first chance to have a look at this. There will be an opportunity to see the detailed report after this meeting, and a second round of discussions would be held, I understand, later in May. But for today's discussion, we would like to hear on 4 main points. First, about the relevance of what's been proposed. Are the challenges identified to green Uzbekistan's economy the right ones, or are there any topics that have been forgotten? Second, on the coherence, is the proposed action plan enough to meet the strategic objectives for each pillar, or are there things that have been left out that should be reflected? Third, how well is this aligned with current reforms and sector plans? Are there any contradictions with other planning processes that need to be understood? And lastly, how would we ensure interministerial collaboration and decision-making to support the effective implementation? So how relevant, how coherent, is it aligned well, and how do we coordinate? Since we're in hybrid format, I'm going to do this jointly with Doina. We propose to take 2 questions from the room that Doina will invite speakers. I will then invite 2 speakers from online. Please raise your hands on the Zoom. And if we have time, we'll have a second round of remarks. If there are any clarifications, we'll hand back to David and Jonathan towards the end of this session to respond. So maybe Doina, over to you. If there's any speakers within the room that would like to make an initial intervention.
Thank you very much, Jane. I'm looking now at the room and waiting for hands. Who would like to intervene? We agreed that we'll take 2 comment speakers from the room who would like to reflect on what you've just heard.
I have some comments and some points to make, but before I I would urge Mr. Aaron Russell and colleagues from ADB as well. So they are doing also too much to support Uzbekistan. So please take an active role and so share your comments and your views as well. Maybe other stakeholders as well. I call stakeholders because everyone is participating. Everyone is participating. No one was left on the side. So, and then
I'm happy to break the ice.
Yes, please.
Okay, as I said, I'm happy to break the ice and start. I want to thank very much the team that has come up with this very nice, very thorough presentation. It's the first time I was looking at the slides, so I'm not prepared to say many things. But what I saw, what I heard, I liked a lot. I think it is comprehensive, relevant, and as Jane asked, is it good enough? I mean, does it cover everything? Do we need to add on things? I don't have a ready response. It looks like it is comprehensive enough to get us forward. And I think that if we have any lessons learned on the process as we work on these topics, yes, we can improve. For a first effort, first go, it's great, yeah, in my view. And thank you again to the team. I'm not aware of any contradictory arrangements to any other law or any other initiative. How do we coordinate is ILCOM's initiative, I think, and our own willingness to cooperate, work, and meet with our partners is a given.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a speaker on this other side, but we were waiting for that side. Yes, please go ahead. ADB, I cannot give it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for a nice presentation of the draft strategy. Just one point that I would like to highlight on behalf of ADB. First of all, this strategic document is very important in a way that we should, I think the next step needs to be how to communicate to the public. First of all, the benefit of this strategic document itself, it provides a strategic signal to investors, not only IFIs, but also private investors, to invest in Uzbekistan, because the green investment or green economy is the popular topic at the moment, to be honest. But we should make sure that the public, Uzbek public, is aware of this benefit. And at the same time, we get buy-in from the beneficiaries of our investments. This is very essential. I hope that we will further collaborate to make sure that the public is aware of it. And in general, you know, the presidential decree or government resolution will be adopted very soon, because ADB is put this as a policy action in one of the programs that is coming in as an investment in the economy of Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jalilov. Good to hear feedback from ADB and fully agree with what you just said. Jane, I know we've agreed for 2 points from the room. Can we take one more before we hand back to you?
Yes, please take one more.
We don't hear you for some reason.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
No, maybe until this is fixed,
Hello?
we try to take one more point and hope to get back to you. Ah, yes, I think you're back. Okay.
Sorry,
We'll go ahead with 1 point from our side. Then.
Anyone raising
Mr.
their hand
Matthias.
online? Yeah.
Wonderful. Mr. Matthias Wrangler from the German Sparks, I cannot pronounce the whole name of International Cooperation.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving the floor to me. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear Deputy Minister, great event. Congratulations to you and to the Ministry this morning. It's my first time. I was invited yesterday, and so I'm very glad to be here, because this is one of our big goals in our work. I come from Germany, from the largest banking group in Germany, Sparkasse, called Sparkasse, and we are here to support the policy of Mr. President in different areas, especially in the agriculture sector and in education of young people. I've been in Germany for a long time, chairman of a savings bank, and I want to tell you, to you all in Germany, as well, Dr. Schneider from KfW knows it very well. In Germany, green finance especially is very, very, very famous, and we work very strong on this. I can offer you some experience in green finance from Germany, from the German banking sector, and I'm ready to work in this group with you if you want. And yes, I think the program, as I first time in the morning, is great. Congratulations. I would like to add something, as you mentioned too. In project work, it is important to have a strategy, to work very strong in the strategy. And at the same time, it is important to include the population, the public. And I would suggest to think about some quick wins. Yeah? We need, of course, research, of course. In the same time, let's think about some quick wins to include the population and to make it ready for the ideas later. We can win a lot of time with this strategy. The the public should be ready if you are ready with the whole strategy. That's my suggest to you. And from my experience, I can tell after research, I think education and again, education is the most important thing of all. We are working in education sector and we can offer you some help in this area. Yes, that's my first impression. It's a great strategy and let's continue on this way. Maybe one last thing. I saw the goals should be achieved in the sector of land and water. I would like to add the air too. Land, water, and the air. I think this is an important point too. So thank you very much for the floor and I'll give back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think with this we can finalize the first round from the room. Jane, back to you and we'll come back to the room.
Thank you. I saw that there's a remark online from Umijan Nazakulov. Unfortunately, it's in Russian, so I can't read that, but maybe he would like to come in. And then I also saw that Ulugbek Abdusalamov was also trying to speak. So if he would like to come in after Umijan.
Sorry, actually, I am in the chat because this is a coordinating chat. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I think this is we can hear this from Ulugbek also.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Ulugbek, please, the floor is yours.
I think Ulugbek also wrote in the chat that he didn't want to take the floor just now.
All right, so we don't have any other hands raised online, so maybe over to the room again, Doina.
Thank you, Jane. I think the room is ready now. We have a few more hands, so let's start with KfW and then we move further on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, dear colleagues. So highly appreciate this initiative on the Green Growth Strategy Framework. I think the next question is, as my colleague from ADB mentioned, is how to share with the public, how to bring it into action. And even if for the time being we don't have direct project with the Ministry of Economic Development and Poverty Reduction, but we are KfW, the German development, a little bit latecomer. So we opened our regional office for Central Asia just 1.5 years ago. But the portfolio is increasing year by year. And now it's a little bit more about 350 million. And some of the topics are exactly in this direction. So if we start to provide just now around 50 million for the access to finance for small, small, medium enterprises, or we just start projects in the integrated urban water supply, wastewater, and so on. And especially for this access to finance for micro, small, medium enterprise, this is very helpful. This innovation and effective green investment, or also this, how to share this capacity building, including this, because we have some guidelines that we first of all would like to go ahead and to provide environmentally friendly companies, and so green economy in general, and that I think is fully in line with this initiatives. That's why it's highly appreciated, and we are happy if we then can follow up this cooperation. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Deputy Director of the Institute.
Thank you. I'm Bakhshat Hamidov, Deputy Director at IFMR. It was said that, yes, this framework covers everything. It is very comprehensive. It's sometimes good, but sometimes it's maybe very hard to implement in a sense that there will be many actors who will be contributing to this work. So what we propose to narrow down the list of these goals, maybe, because given that all these goals are interlinked, so we can leave only the goals or maybe the tasks or maybe the mechanisms with the highest effect. And here the knowledge Green Hub can help. Why? Why not? Because our scientists may say that which goals are interlinked and to which extent. And so when we touch upon the main task, the other task will be solved, given that there is a interrelationship between many tasks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. I think we have one more hand from Mr. Russell, and then we go to further on. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Russell.
I'll keep my comments very brief. Also, thank you very much for this excellent sharing of information. Congratulations to you and to the UNDP, World Bank, AFD, everyone who has contributed to this so far. It looks like a very comprehensive document so far, and we look forward to giving further comment on it as we see a draft. I would. The main thing that I would mainly suggest is, and reflecting on the comment made by the colleague just before me, is that we may try to solve all of Uzbekistan's problems and thereby make it more difficult to solve any of them if we try to incorporate all actions into it. So not having reviewed the document, maybe they are all completely realistic, but maybe consider what could be prioritized in a short term to achieve those early wins. Yes. Oh, sorry. What could be prioritized to achieve those early wins, to highlight the value of this strategy, to bring the public and private sector on board so that they can accept those more difficult maybe some economic sacrifices in the short term that they may need to take for the longer term outcomes that we would like to create. And I would, coming from a very environmental background, I realize that very frequently green growth and environmental initiatives may seem prohibitive and restrictive to the private sector and to the public. They're not very optimistic. Very frequently, they frequently are looking backwards at what has been lost, rather than focusing on what the opportunities that we can harness, the opportunities that we can gain looking forward. Now, I do know that your ministry is very innovative and young, and looking at these opportunities, I think would be very good. The strategy really to identify what those future opportunities are, to make this a document that is not just seen by some as restrictive and negative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Russell. I see that we still have start to have hands online. We'll take two more from the room. Ms. Dimovska, and there was Mr. Davis Dimovska. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will be very brief. As the document, I think it's in a very good shape even now, but it will be finalized. It's very ambitious, and most of the comments are really great. So, and I agree. I wanted to add, is the gender sufficiently considered, the gender aspects of the green growth? And I was looking, of course, to see how much we pay attention to it. So my call that we take another look from a gender perspective, how women are impacted or how women contribute, and they can do a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dimovska. Your colleague from EBRD.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be very brief. Well, we are very thankful to both UNDP and the World Bank and the Ministry of Economy for being part of this process. And as Alkis already mentioned, this is a very comprehensive document. I just wanted to comment on the fact that this document is very much overlaps with the country's NDC, the 2030 targets, and what would be very important to look at is how much all this action will cost. And I think it's coming probably later on, but I just wanted to mention that what would be the financing strategy of this document. And perhaps it would be worthwhile to add an action point here that we need, costing and the finance strategy that will be very important also in terms of the implementation of the NDC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nasreddinov. There are many points to react, but I will only give the floor now and we'll have the reaction later. Jane, one more hand from the room, please, before I hand back to you.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Hurmatli дорогие ishtirokchilari. Здравствуйте, уважаемые участники такого величественного форума. Я очень рад выступить как представитель научного сообщества. Я доктор технических наук, профессор Ташкентского государственного аграрного университета. Как представитель, который занимается более 30 лет с переработкой органических отходов. Узбекистан является родиной Аль-Хорезми. Это основатель алгоритма. Аль-Бируни. Это все они ученые-энциклопедисты. И я рад, что научное сообщество взялось за преобразование экономики нашей республики Узбекистан. И я хотел бы, как продолжатель этих учений, чтобы в стратегию вошли некоторые вопросы. Во-первых, это вопросы по применению платформы с искусственным интеллектом. Уже мы несколько лет работаем над этим, то есть проведение мониторинга на основе космоснимков, использование беспилотных летательных объектов, дронов, использование сообщества, которое мы организовали. Здесь в сообществе участвуют и академические университеты, институты, Академия наук Республики Узбекистан, Мичиганский государственный университет. Мы работаем также по Smart Agriculture. И если мы сможем объединить усилия, у нас есть проектные наработки, которые позволяют вести мониторинг на дне орала, то есть по схожести растительности на дне орала, где создается лес. Здесь не только идет мониторинг, а при помощи участия микробиологов, Института микробиологии Академии наук Узбекистан, который включается в нашу команду, они с 2013 года создали несколько препаратов, которые имеют статус изобретений. С 2018 года они вошли в проект коммерциализации. И эти биопрепараты, они позволяют именно в деградированных почвах создать условия, то есть они работают над тем, что эти микроорганизмы, они семенами вводятся в почву, они выделяют ферменты, которые разлагают эти соли и дают усвояемую форму. То есть вести мониторинг космоснимками, дронами и использовать достижения наших микробиологов. Мы можем помочь и в деградации, мониторинг вести органических удобрений, органической растительности, их ход и также вести в действие. То есть идет комплекс вопросов, который может помочь и в организации по переработке органических отходов, по деградации земель. Использование этих биопрепаратов позволяет в 2 раза снизить водопотребление, которое тоже, значит, в этой стратегии оно тоже может найти свое место. Поэтому я желаю участникам форума дальнейшего сотрудничества, перед великим праздником Рамадан я желаю всем участникам успехов. И от имени нашего узбекского народа я преклоняюсь над теми людьми, которые оказывают практическую помощь нашей великой родине. Спасибо за внимание.
Спасибо вам огромное за такое вступление и за очень точечную информацию и предложение. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. Norkulov. We'll come back to you.
Just very quick. I was like, you were looking for a good specialist in the agriculture sphere, you know, you were mentioning. So the Green Hub started to work. And so you have a, you know, kind of offer. So take it in.
Thank you. Immediately. Jane, back to you now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the great input so far.
Thank you. So we have Konstantin Igorov who would like to speak. I'm going to invite him, and then we have a second set of comments which I'll talk about after Konstantin. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much, Jane. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. Very happy to be here participating in this important event. A very brief statement from UNOPS. As the UN implementing agency with decades of experience in project management, infrastructure, procurement management, we stand ready to support all our current and potential partners with your work on the ground in terms of implementations of your projects and initiatives. We also can support your grant management, fund management, and HR management initiatives. We are also very good in facilitating synergies in multilateral and inter-regional programs. So please feel free to reach out. Our doors are always open, and we'll be happy to discuss possibilities for cooperation. Thank you very much. Back to you, Jane.
Thank you. We also had a comment from Elena. She's raising the point that there are a small number of environmental and research NGOs working at the local level in Uzbekistan, and they would appreciate if the role and the capacity of provincial NGOs can be considered as communicators and interpreters of the national green commitments when engaging local people in this framework to get their feedback. So there's an offer there from Elena to draw on their capacity to make this more inclusive. I don't see any other speakers online at the moment. Doina, if you want to take any more comments from the room before closing.
Thank you, Jane. We still have hands in the room. So yeah, colleagues, please introduce yourself.
So thank you very much for this invitation and for the great event. I just want to add some more information. It's great to have always international organization, but we should also not forget the local institutions. I think we have to think on the strengthening the role of the local government, institution, NGOs, and as well as the private sector. And I think it's also important to establish a public-private dialogue platform where the problems can be discussed and also some solutions can be also worked out. And on behalf of GIZ, I can say that we are initiating now new program on sustainable economic development with a strong focus on industry and green economy development. And the Minister of Economy and Poverty Reduction will be the main partner. I think it's also a good chance now to discuss about the activities and also see how can we also contribute in this action plan.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. So many things have already been said, but I just want to add one element regarding the sequencing. In fact, in the green economy policy, it's important as well to do it in the right order and to think about by what should we start, in fact. Because if it's not done properly, then it can create tensions. So this is an important topic, and I think what has already been said about the necessity to communicate, this is a good step to begin to show as well all the opportunities created by this new environment on transition to green. And then it makes it maybe easier to have everyone on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was notified that there are 2 more hands here. So colleagues, please let's start with you. I think there is a mic. Yes.
Здравствуйте. Меня зовут Шухрат Исаев. Я работаю в Министерстве инновационного развития Республики Узбекистан. Наше министерство занимается внедрением инновационных новых передовых технологий в народное хозяйство. И мне хотелось бы сегодня предложить более конкретно включить в этот проект. Мы знаем, наша республика сейчас взяла очень большой старт в направлении развития возобновляемых источников энергии. У нас большие амбициозные планы до 2030 года, но в этом направлении у нас могут возникнуть в будущем проблемы по обеспечению энергобаланса республики. Поэтому хорошо бы здесь предусмотреть трансфер технологий, новых дешевых технологий по хранению энергии, которая будет вырабатываться зеленым путем из возобновляемых источников энергии. Также в этом направлении рассмотреть или содействовать в развитии межгосударственных связей, упрочнению межгосударственных связей по совместному использованию трансграничных водных ресурсов, в том числе для обеспечения регулирования мощности, энергетической мощности стран Центральной Азии. И есть у нас тоже направление науки, которые занимаются в этом направлении, и хранением энергии, выработанной из возобновляемых источников энергии. Поэтому хорошо было бы нам найти партнеров среди развитых стран, центров разработки таких технологий, чтобы наши институты, наши ученые могли с ними совместно разрабатывать новые технологии. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Спасибо. Если можно микрофон дать дальше.
Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Itenesh and I represent Westminster International University in Tashkent. We have been doing several research on green economy and the strategy, and I'm happy we are invited today to see this strategic framework, which is very comprehensive and relevant and very clear. And it coincides also with some of the findings we found in our research, like urbanization. And personally, my background is also agriculture. So it is there, but one point I want to mention is there is minimum discussion on non-carbon greenhouse gas emissions, so like methane and N2O. Maybe it's taken in Teams 3, but we need to talk a little bit more for Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the very relevant points. There is a second round, second call now, and go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the floor again. I want to add one more point. In the first round, I told about education, and I want to take this point again. I think it would be very important to win the youth for the ideas, to start with youth. Youth is future, everybody knows this. And we are working very strong with Youth Union in agriculture, in education for agriculture, in education, financial education, and something more. And I see daily, youth is very much interested to make changes in the country for their own future. And if we win the youth, we will win the future and make it parallel. This great program can go on, and at the same time, maybe we can start in schools and universities programs for young people to win the youth for these ideas. That is the best way for future. I want to add this point, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for emphasizing this point once again. Very important. I think there is a hand. We have one more hand in the room.
Да. Здравствуйте. Меня зовут Абдуллахат Каримов. Я представляю частную научно-исследовательскую организацию «Хитин», которая занимается биотехнологиями передовыми в области сельского хозяйства. Моим отцом, профессором Каримовым, еще при Советском Союзе 83 по 88 год были экспериментальные разработки научно-практические по выращиванию сахарного тростника в дренажных системах на хлопковых полях. В чем было вот преимущество этого метода? Он, прежде чем посадить семена сахарного тростника, проводил предпассивную обработку семян электромагнитным полем высокой частоты, что давало ускорение роста, вегетативного роста этой культуры. И поэтому мы хотели бы это заново возродить, эту систему. И если бы вот частным научно-исследовательской организацией была бы поддержка со стороны государства и иностранных, вот, скажем, международных организаций, было бы очень, скажем, большую благодарность за это. Да? Мы тоже хотим вложить как частные организации научно-исследовательские свой вклад в развитие Республики Узбекистан. Спасибо за внимание.
Спасибо большое за предложение. Я думаю, что очень хорошо, что мы обсуждаем это в Green Hub. Да? Он начинает уже работать в деталях. One more hand we have. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for inviting us to this event. Very nice. I'm Bakhtiar Polatov from representing the State Committee for Ecology. And I think it's just follow up with the colleagues as Bakhtiar just mentioned about this, the for prioritization. Yeah. So we not taking a look at this, the document would be also in terms of the financial distribution. We need to think about, because we have to take the responsibility to reduce the 35% emission by the 2030. So this this goes to different sectors. For example, energy sector goes to 75%, for the industry and the agricultural 16% and 8%. So we need to make sure to distribute the amount of the money. Yeah. So financial support for different sectors. So not only the priorities, which is important for today, but also in terms of the sector. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Polato. Very important point, indeed, to use the NDC targets as prioritization, but also element of financial support. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. We were planning to have Jane summarize the session and then give the floor to our distinguished partners and hosts, if it's okay, or there are any other comments? Yeah.
Do some summarization summaries. So if it is okay, so after Jane.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So then, Jane, we're happy to hand over the floor, the screen back to you.
Thank you. So this has been a very rich discussion. What I'm hearing is this is a great first effort and everybody's ready to work on this. We had 4 main areas of feedback. The first one was about the realism of the strategy. So a suggestion that we might want to consider narrowing the list of goals and priorities to those that would have the most impact in the short term, to look at where we can have quick wins, which would make this a little bit more palatable for the public, and maybe focus on the medium term for those that are more difficult to move forward. We also had an offer from the Green Hub to help with that. It was also suggested that it would be important to highlight opportunities, not as well as challenges. The second main area of feedback was around inclusion. So we need to make sure that this process engages the public, that we think about the role of women and youth and gender-related considerations, and we get buy-in from beneficiaries. We had an offer to engage local NGOs to facilitate community involvement in the strategic framework. And we had suggestions also to engage with other governments and partners on transboundary water resource management and international partners for green technology transfer, including for areas like green energy storage. It was further suggested that a platform for public and private dialogue would be very helpful to establish to provide input as we move forward on implementing the strategic framework. The third area of feedback was around additional issues that we should consider. So one was to have a look at the role of air and air quality in addition to impacts on water and land use. The second was to go beyond renewables to look at green energy solutions, including storage. And the third was to consider the role of other gases beyond CO2, like methane and nitrogen. Lastly, the fourth area related to how the strategy is financed and the importance of looking at a means to attract green finance for the strategic framework implementation, but also to allocate appropriate finance to sectors so that they can meet the goals that are articulated, for example, through the NDC. We also had several other offers of support from UNOPS on implementation side, support from the banking sector to provide capacity building to SMEs, and also from the scientific community on climate smart agriculture and reforestation initiatives in the Aral Sea Basin. So with that, Doina, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Jane. You've done the impossible to summarize this vivid discussion so coherently. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. I'm delighted to give the floor to Mr. Nurkulov for further reflections.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. A very good summary and very good formulation, Jane. And thank you for all friends and guests who shared their valuable comments, and they're really valuable for us, and we will of course integrate them to our strategic framework document. And regarding the challenge again, challenges are ahead, and what is the challenge that we are seeing is, first of all, to coordinate it not only in a level of the international partners and donor organizations, but on a government level. So this is interdepartmental council, technical secretariat, and etc. So this is a task that we have to still think on. And here I think we will be actively consulting with you as well on this method, because now we are approaching the implementation side. So starting from the next month, we will have maybe at the beginning, it will be, there will be some kind of shortcomings or drawbacks, but we want to have a very good functioning, coordination and implementation bodies. So next thing is that Anvaraka said, this strategy has to come up with some overall financial strategy. That's also important, and we didn't mention about the Green Fund. So the Green Fund is basically is also in this strategic framework, but the main role of the Green Fund is that it's not only the financing, but it's the consolidating and having a consolidated approach. What sort of the financial resource we have, and how we are using them efficiently. Do some monitoring, some evaluation, and based on that analysis, do some adjustments, where we can get more, benefits by using the limited resource. And that's also important. Maybe we didn't talk much on, starting on the carbon pricing as well. So that's going to be a challenge. And Mr. Kupen mentioned about, the sequencing the issues. I think I have to sequence and many interesting topics, but I would put this issue, to start on the, because it's interesting for many people. Because I think, Madame Georgieva, the IMF managing director, she also, recently mentioned how we can actualize this issue by raising the carbon prices. Of course, in Europe, in some countries, in rich countries, it reached already, somewhere around $60 per ton, but in many countries, it's still, low priced. But if we give a right value for that, so the people and the business, they will become more interested. And then we have to start on thinking, and maybe we will start with some basic analysis and, as Begzodake said, communicating it with the business community and the government and greater public sectors. So very important. And I really, personally like the idea of our German colleagues from Sparka International, the German Sparkasse, how to say Stiftung, yeah, and KWF, yes, yeah. So good, one announcement is on about basically, one part of our head is all that, kind of dominated is the implementation things. And I can do a, announcement here. We started to work on developing strategic master plans for 2 districts. It's Shahrisabz district and Kamashi districts. So basically this, these are the strategies. They are not mapping yet. And German International Cooperation Organization, GIZ, is helping us to bring the German experts. That's VDI, VDE. And, we are doing a cluster approach there. And on one side, we have a tourism sector and specialization. The another thing is that IT and agriculture and services or logistics. So here, what I want to say, we have to start with the pilots where we already started. Because what we have learned from our last 5 years experience, we started to work with many development partners, but unfortunately, in some cases, it's fragmented. But when we bring, this, all resource in a consolidated way, we make a good, a picture from these puzzles, and here, we stay ready to facilitate with some national domestic banks like Halkbank or Agrobank, where we can launch the projects. And I fully agree, educating through these financial instruments is more like efficient way. Maybe it's easy to reach, and then people, they can feel it, in a better way rather than hearing or looking at different interesting videos. So it can be also incorporated, and we stay ready for that. Thank you very much for colleagues from the agriculture sphere, and actually we stay ready. And so we are also, in May, this German company is coming with experts, 5 to 6 people, and we are going to have a roundtables, a series of roundtables in order to speak to local people and local entrepreneurs. And I think this is a good opportunity. I was like, maybe to also invite our, colleagues and share their view as well. Because when we look at, the idea is to listen to them and listen to their demand and what can be done from the government level in order to create some ecosystem or condition for their operation, for their functioning, and what should be at the local government level, and what can do the private sector themselves. So here again, maybe I'm leaving some talks beyond, but it's a good chance for coordination and sticking around some projects that already started. And based on that, we can scale up our work. if we approach the issue from not writing the strategy or roadmaps, but start with the pilots and maybe there's some practical works, so we will be happy. So it's again accepted as an invitation and an announcement. So if you have ideas, we will be happy to to work with you. And I got the note from Mr. Andreas Schneider that we haven't been for a direct contact for 1.5 years with this institution. So please just give us your. We say we are going to be flexible, but it's sometimes hard to find the time. So, but we will try to make a meeting if it is needed in the coming week, and seek the opportunities where we can do better cooperation. And many things we didn't discuss about the tariff policies, using the water resource, etc. These are the challenges as well, and of course you will not be able to cover all the issues. And despite the fact that we worked very hard, good international experts, they helped to prepare this strategic framework. And I'm in this dynamic world, you cannot do anything. After 1 year, you will look at this document, which looks very good now. You say, oh, it's getting old. What we can do? It's good. It's good that we are also, going and, and I think we have to accept it. It's a document to start with, and then we can do some adjustments. And this kind of meetings and, platforms, I think, it's a good place, to all the time revise and do some adjustments. I will stop here, and maybe my colleagues, they have something to add on the wrapping up part.
Nothing from me.
In the room, though the summary was, do you want to still come in? Apologies before, and we're wrapping up already the session, but there is, where is the mic? Yeah, which can. No, there is super brief.
The Aki Center, Minister of Agriculture. I'm hired by article, leading specialist. So thank you very much. I'm very delighted to take part in this event. Great document. I think you all together, great force and capacity. We all can make change in this country. I think you need to open the Green University of Uzbekistan and integrate it with your strategy of green economy. And it will leave a great sustainability after your project. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear from Aki. Thank you, Mr. Norkulov, for such a good summarization and reflection on all the issues that we have discussed. It was a very live session, and we are happy to move to the next one, but I don't see the moderator. Okay, wonderful. So Mr. Abi Khajayev, I'm delighted to hand over to you for running the session.
Sorry, Mr. Abid Khajayev will join soon, so no problem. Okay, so let's move on and start the second session on Stockholm 5th International Meeting. So our first presenter will be Miss Dr. Umidjan Nazarkulov, National Consultant Coordinator on Stockholm 50 National Consultations, UNDP Uzbekistan. So please.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is, sorry, I wanted to make my presentation in Russian. Yeah, I prepared it. Yeah, because a little. Поэтому я хотел бы, значит, отметить, что уже в вводной части, уважаемые участники, вы уже услышали, госпожа Матильда Дымовская уже упомянула и рассказала о важности данного мероприятия «Стокгольм плюс 50» вот, под, значит, названием вот, «Здоровая планета для общего процветания. Наша ответственность и наш шанс». Я хотел дать просто короткую информацию в дополнение. Вот, и немного раскрыть, значит, суть данной конференции. Ну, может, уже многие знают об этом, но я хотел бы, вот, если кто-то хочет дополнительную информацию получить или более, скажем, определиться в деталях данного мероприятия. Можете, да? Да. Вот. Поэтому сейчас, значит, ну, данное мероприятие, я хотел бы отметить, имеет большое значение. Вот, и, наверное, можно его считать там, одним из самых, значит, важнейших международных экологических совещаний вот, на высшем уровне, особенно для нашего десятилетия. Я сам могу, да? Хорошо. Вот. То есть основной, значит, момент, который я хотел выделить, значит, как я уже сказал, что, значит, будет посвящен, значит, планете, как Земля, да, ему сохранению, вот, и то, что, значит, данный процесс, он находится в наших руках. Да. И основным, значит, моментом, который будет, значит, проводиться, это в общих словах, это, значит, консультации, дискуссии, во-первых, с отдельными лицами, сообществами, организациями и правительствами по всему миру. Да, то есть мы охватываем в этом определении практически все, значит, группы. Вот. Так, значит, следующий. Вот так, да? Конечно, хотелось бы сразу ответить на вопрос, почему Стокгольм плюс 50. Да? То есть, если просто, значит, обратиться, значит, к вопросу, то ответ будет такой, что конференция ООН по проблемам окружающей среды человека была проведена первая, значит, в 1972 году, и, соответственно, сейчас вот 50 лет исполняется, и поэтому, значит, руководство ООН, значит, решило связать и вот отметить эту дату. Вот, и необходимо отметить, что данная конференция, она называется Стокгольмской конференцией, и, значит, ее главная, значит, суть в том, что впервые были подняты проблемы окружающей среды, взаимодействия человека с окружающей средой, его свободы, права в окружающей среде и, естественно, конечно, отношение к природным ресурсам. Поэтому это очень важная была конференция в историческом смысле. И, ну, что, значит, мы хотим, значит, указать, то это, значит, 5 июня, который является днем окружающей среды, мы его всегда отмечаем, сам был, значит, установлен на этой конференции. Я привел ссылку, если вы хотите, можете более подробно ознакомиться. Теперь к нашей Стокгольм плюс 50. Так. Значение. Вот. Да, данная конференция, в двух словах, она имеет многосторонний подход в решении тройного планетарного кризиса Земли. То есть климат, природа и загрязнение. Да, я хотел бы немного остановиться на этом, так как нестабильность климата, утрата биоразнообразия, вот химическое загрязнение, пластиковые отходы, вот, различные формы удобрений, которые являются, значит, вредоносными, вот, различные препараты, токсичность из-за сокращения вот, различных экосистемных услуг, они являются, естественно, для нашего времени вызовом для человечества. Вот, мы стремимся производить больше, но, соответственно, получаем больше проблем. Вот, и поэтому здесь должен быть какой-то компромисс, какой-то поворот на данный момент. И вот поэтому о том, что те вот моменты, которые я назвал, они отрицательно влияют на здоровье человека, подрывают возможности, вот, значит, проблемы, которые они порождают, они усиливают незащищенность человечества. Но еще с другой стороны, конечно, это наши отношения между людьми. Вот, Вот также или же между странами и так далее. Здесь тоже очень важный момент, потому что неравенство и дисбаланс, вот, они очевидны в использовании природных ресурсов. Вот, есть экономические выгоды, экологические выгоды, социальные нагрузки. Они распределяются неравномерно как между странами, так между слоями населения, да? Вот, и между континентами и так далее. Это все надо учитывать. Вот. Второй момент, который мы хотели бы выделить значимости Стокгольм-50, это ускорение реализации плана действий ООН в рамках текущего десятилетия по достижению целей устойчивого развития. Ну, мы все знаем, это включает, значит, в первую очередь, это повестку дня на период до 2030 года, Парижское соглашение об изменении климата, естественно, вот, значит, глобальную рамочную программу по сохранению биоразнообразия на период после 2020 года. И да, особый тоже момент необходимо учесть, что поощряются зеленые планы восстановления после COVID-19. То есть в этой связи сегодня мы рассматриваем как раз моменты зеленого перехода, стратегические рамки, вот, значит, стратегические направления, которые приняты правительством Узбекистана. И это играет важную роль в рассмотрении этих вопросов на данном саммите. Так. Далее. Задачи. Я коротко хотел остановиться на задачах, буквально указать. Задач на самом деле больше, но основные, которые мы хотели бы выделить, это первое, это вот сотрудничество, обмен опытом и решение сложных взаимосвязанных вопросов для принятия срочных мер и долгосрочных системных изменений. Да, это очень важный вопрос, так как в настоящее время все экологические проблемы на всех уровнях и во всех их видах, они взаимосвязаны. Поэтому на данной международной встрече предполагается действительно показать и усилить роль именно мер по структурным изменениям, по взаимодействию между странами, значит, между различными организациями и так далее. И не только, значит, на уровне, значит, горизонтальном, но также на вертикальном уровне, значит, взаимосвязи поколений. Это очень важно, так как мы видим, что в последнее время, скажем, все поколения, все слои населения участвуют, скажем, в вопросах окружающей среды. И поэтому вторая задача, основная задача, значит, это многостороннее решение действия для обеспечения реализации на основе общегосударственного и общесоциального подхода, не оставляя никого в стороне. То есть это важный момент. То есть мы не говорим здесь только о, скажем, лицах, принимающих решения, или же каких-то, значит, структурах или агентствах, организациях, которые в основном как бы имеют влияние на решение проблем окружающей среды. Мы говорим о всем населении, о всех. То есть девиз Стокгольмской конференции нынешней, значит, является то, что каждый должен участвовать, то есть никто не должен остаться в стороне. Поэтому, значит, здесь привлекаются как международные организации, как, значит, различные группы ННО, вот, академическое сообщество и так далее. Но вместе с тем особый тоже упор делается на, скажем, участие женщин, вот, молодежи, также лиц с ограниченными возможностями и так далее. Вот, поэтому я отдельно выделил этот момент. Так. И, значит, в завершение, то есть как основной момент я хотел, конечно, данная встреча, она будет состоять из 4 сессий, значит, различных, и будет обсуждение, пленарные заседания 4. Но кроме этого я хотел обратить внимание на то, что будут диалоги с руководством, да, то есть leadership dialogues, и по 3 направлениям основным это вот по необходимости принятия мер по обеспечению здоровой планеты и процветания всех, да, то есть тут значит, второй момент – это достижение устойчивого и всеобъемлющего восстановления после пандемии COVID-19. Вот. И дальше, это третий диалог – это ускорение реализации экологических аспектов устойчивого развития в контексте десятилетия действий. Вот. В то же время, значит, намечаются отдельные вопросы, которые касаются отдельных стран. Вот, и мы как раз работаем над этим, чтобы представить на данной встрече те проблемы, те пути решения, которые, скажем, по окружающей среде, которые предпринимаются в Узбекистане, как со стороны правительства, так и со стороны бизнеса, со стороны отдельных групп населения и так далее. В этом плане эти диалоги вот внесут вклад в проведение вот совещания и выработки конкретных рекомендаций в отношении действий на всех уровнях. Вот. И, значит, также необходимо отметить, что через это каждая вот организация в Узбекистане, да, это будь то министерство, будь то агентство, будь то ННО, или же даже вот университеты, молодежные организации, они могут через наши, значит, сейчас мероприятия передавать свои, значит, идеи, мысли, вот, чтобы они как-то попали, скажем, на этот уровень. Также, извиняюсь. Мы, в свою очередь, сейчас проводим, да, это мероприятие, значит, консультация – это одна из активностей в период подготовки к, значит, международной встрече Стокгольм плюс 50. И на этой стадии мы вот сейчас проводим как бы первую консультацию, то есть в рамках сегодняшней встречи. Вот, и эти, значит, то, что запуск хаба, Green Hub, также обсуждение, значит, стратегических рамок по зеленого роста в Узбекистане. Это все мы постараемся это все включить. И вот мы будем использовать, значит, прозвучавшие здесь мнения, рекомендации и вообще сам ход перехода к рыночной экономике. Я думаю, это очень важный момент. И он будет интересен, скажем, на данной встрече с точки зрения вот дальнейшего сотрудничества Узбекистана вот на уровне, значит, окружающей среды. Вот, кроме этого, мы, значит, готовим также материалы. Отдельно выделен, значит, веб-портал, он называется Sky Blue. И, скорее всего, скоро мы вас с ним ознакомим. Мы сейчас тоже закладываем материал туда, готовим там различные фильмы, там, скажем, фотоматериалы, различные инфографики, методические, значит, какие-то методические пособия и так далее. И мы скоро, значит, их опубликуем. Вот. И кроме этого, значит, у нас, как вы знаете, пройдет еще 3 мероприятия. Мы будем тоже также в них активно участвовать. Вот. И, значит, на основе этого мы сделаем отчет и, значит, предоставим в руководство данной конференции. И прежде чем сказать спасибо за внимание, я хотел бы попросить вас, вот у нас есть, значит, на сайте Стокгольм плюс 50, значит, вопросник. Вот, ну, здесь мы потом еще разошлем, конечно, вы сейчас переписывать не будете. Вот этот линк на этот опросник, и просим, конечно, вас, чтобы вы зашли и ответили. Там всего 10 вопросов. Вот он касается, значит, общих проблем и 3 отдельных вопроса по именно основным намерениям встречи Стокгольм плюс 50. И плюс к этому, конечно, ваше мнение общее. И мы хотели бы, значит, чтобы вы дали голос за... Там есть, отмечается, значит, вы должны отметить, какая страна, да, вот там какой возраст, пол. И мы хотели бы, конечно, чтобы вы внесли вклад, да, чтобы от Узбекистана было определенное количество людей, которые имеют интерес к проблеме окружающей среды. Спасибо за внимание.
Спасибо большое, доктор Назаркулов. Я бы хотел передать слово Антону Валерьевичу Костюченко. Он делает презентацию касательно вот сегодняшнего открытия Green Hub. Спасибо.
Специально поставили это в конце, учитывая, что все чуть-чуть устанут, но самый интересный как бы момент мы поставили в конце, чтобы... Антон, да, пожалуйста.
Добрый день, уважаемые участники мероприятия. Хотелось бы выразить благодарность за ваше терпение, за то, что вы, как говорится, досидели до этого момента. Ну, можно сказать, что данная презентация, она является подытоживанием всего сказанного и показывает именно важность зеленой экономики и почему именно объединение и платформа, где все это обсуждение можно проводить, оно важно и необходимо на сегодняшний день. То есть в рамках презентации в рамках презентации я отвечу на 3 главных вопроса. То есть, почему важна зеленая экономика, зачем создается Green Hub и что он будет делать и что необходимо для его развития. И что необходимо для его развития и что он будет делать. То есть начнем с того, что в настоящее время экологическая проблема, она вышла на глобальный уровень. Рост популярности концепции зеленой экономики, он во многом вызван многочисленными кризисами, с которыми столкнулся мир в последние годы. То есть это прежде всего климатические, экологические, продовольственные, финансовые и экономические кризисы. Сам вопрос развития зеленой экономики как одного из важнейших приоритетов мировой общественности был выдвинут на конференции Рио+20 в 2012 году. На данной конференции участники договорились рассматривать зеленую экономику в качестве одного из важнейших инструментов обеспечения устойчивого развития. Однако стоит отметить, что вопрос зеленой экономики, он рассматривается уже довольно-таки давно, и наибольшую популярность он стал обретать с 1972 года после выхода доклада Римского клуба «Ограничение роста». В последующем точки роста популярности зеленого вопроса были определены такими докладами, как «Наше общее будущее», Бундесратского доклада, Всемирного саммита Земли и повестка дня на 20-21 век, доклад ЮНЕП на пути к зеленой экономике и, как уже было сказано, саммит Рио+20. Также большую важность вопросам зеленой экономики сегодня придают им различные международные организации и институты. Они уделяют активное внимание данным инициативам, особенно в сфере зеленой экономики и зеленого роста. Так, например, можно отметить, что, к примеру, ОСР имеет более 460 документов, посвященных именно данному вопросу. Также Всемирный банк, он имеет около 200 документов, также посвященных зеленому росту и зеленой экономике. Также на сегодняшний день очень много стран практикуют разработку и реализацию национальных стратегий зеленой экономики. К ним относятся как развитые, так и развивающиеся страны, особенно это Африка, Латинская Америка, Азиатско-Тихоокеанский регион и Европа. Так, к примеру, на сегодняшний день около 19 стран официально представили стратегии декарбонизации в секретариат климатической конвенции ООН. Также более 125 стран обязались о полной декарбонизации или уже приняли, или в настоящий момент рассматривают данный процесс. Переходя от глобального к более конкретному, почему зеленая экономика важна для Узбекистана и что делается в Узбекистане? Так, за последние 7 лет, начиная с 2015 года, в стране принято 25 стратегических документов, которые рассматривают вопросы развития зеленой экономики. В них именно конкретно развитию зеленой экономики посвящено 154 меры. Наиболее актуальными и важными на последний момент являются 2 документа. То есть первый – это стратегия по переходу на зеленую экономику на период 19-30 годы и стратегия развития нового Узбекистана на 22-26 годы, где одним из приоритетных направлений обозначено именно переход к зеленой экономике. В рамках данных документов Министерство экономического развития и сокращения бедности определено уполномоченным органом по продвижению и внедрению Республики Узбекистан зеленой экономики. И на министерство возложены 2 самые крупные задачи. Это сокращение до 2026 года выбросов вредных газов на 20% и повышение энергоэффективности экономики на 20%. То есть, исходя из данной ситуации, можно обозначить именно важность и перейти к вопросу, зачем создается Green Hub. То есть из данных мероприятий и поставленных задач Green Hub создается для того, чтобы способствовать министерствам, ведомствам и в целом именно развитию механизмов, мер и проработки решений для перехода к зеленой экономике, трансформации страны. Исходя из этого, именно ключевой миссией Green Hub является анализ ситуации и выработка путей по достижению устойчивого экономического прогресса, основанного на принципах зеленой экономики. Данная миссия будет достигаться посредством привлечения и объединения экспертов, исследовательских организаций, международных финансовых институтов и предприятий в данной области. Таким образом, перед Green Hub ставится 4 основных цели. То есть первая цель – это создание сети специалистов, которые были бы связаны общей целью, направлением деятельности, именно посвященной развитию зеленой экономики и достижению зеленого экономического роста, в том числе зеленого сокращения бедности. Следующая цель – это разработка современного прогнозно-аналитического инструментария. То есть это комплексная оценка перспективных решений и поиска наилучших вариантов адаптации национальной экономики к климатическим изменениям без ущерба для уровня социального развития. То есть, то есть данные цели важны то есть в связи с тем, что на данный момент в республике очень много специалистов, организаций занимаются данным вопросом, однако между ними нет никакой взаимодействия, взаимосвязи. Часто случается так, что исследования, проводимые организациями и отдельными исследователями, они дублируют друг друга, либо повторяют вопросы, которые были уже изучены ранее. В связи с этим именно предлагается одной из целей ставится развитие сети специалистов. Почему мы ставим целью для Green Hub разработка современного инструментария? Это связано с тем, что постоянно выходят новые подходы, новые решения появляются, развиваются эконометрические, математические подходы, и они позволяют выявить более точные моменты, проблемы и поставить более детальный диагноз, что очень необходимо в современном мире. Следующую целью нет, тут уже сломаем так скоро. Вот, батарейки, скорее всего. Следующая цель, которую ставит перед собой Green Hub, это повышение осведомленности. То есть в чем именно заключается данная цель? Это оповестить всех участников экономической деятельности о происходящих процессах, которые связаны с изменением климата и их влиянием на экономику, о внедрении принципов зеленой экономики и зеленых рабочих мест. То есть на данный момент, опять-таки, надо решить проблему информационного вакуума. И посредством данного Green Hub мы собираемся решить данный вопрос, именно распространять информацию о зеленой экономике. Почему это нужно, как это делается, для чего это делается. Для того, чтобы не только министерство, ведомство или определенные организации были в этом заинтересованы, а мы сможем достичь зеленой трансформации только в том случае, если каждый будет думать, как это сделать, зачем это нужно и какой вклад он может внести в это дело. Следующая цель, которая стоит перед Green Hub, это создание широкой базы данных и знаний. То есть можно сказать, что эти две цели, они взаимодействуют. Почему мы именно ставим вопрос создания широкой базы данных и знаний? На сегодняшний день все знания о зеленой экономике, зеленом росте, они очень разбросаны. Даже, вот как привести пример, если запросить именно в Google Scholar в поиске такое сочетание, как «Зеленая экономика Узбекистана», на английском, на русском, на любых языках выходит более 22 тысяч документов. Очень тяжело их отфильтровать, понять, какой, чему именно посвящен. То есть отсутствует хорошая система фильтрации и поиска данных. Также, если рассматривать уже не доклады, а сами показатели, которые рассматривают зеленую экономику и зеленый рост, то можно привести пример, что ОСР имеет базу статистическую, где приводится 108 показателей, посвященных зеленой экономике. А Всемирный банк имеет 76 показателей, посвященных зеленой экономике. Таким образом, это лишь две организации, которые мы приводим как пример. Многие международные организации имеют свои показатели, но получается, нет единой базы. И для решения вопросов, поставленных перед Узбекистаном, очень сложно найти именно правильные цифры. То есть мы решим вопрос для исследователей, министерств, ведомств, в том плане, что поиск необходимой информации, необходимых данных, это будет все в одном месте, можно быстро получить всю необходимую информацию, провести анализ и выдать необходимые правильные меры и механизмы для последующего продвижения в данном направлении. Исходя из этого, перед Green ставятся такие задачи. Нет, здесь батарейки, кажется, усилили. Такие задачи, как формирование национальной модели зеленой трансформации экономики, разработка современного модельного инструментария, отработка методологии оценки, разработка финансовых и нефинансовых механизмов и исследование вопросов создания необходимой институциональной среды. Как вы видите, данные задачи, они перекликаются с поставленными целями, поэтому мы не будем сильно останавливаться на них и перейдем к следующему моменту. Можно? То есть мы перейдем к следующему вопросу, то есть что будет делать Green Hub и что необходимо для его развития. То есть что будет делать Green Hub? Направление деятельности, которые предполагает в своем будущем Green Hub, это именно проведение исследований по зеленой экономике, формирование перечня организаций и предприятий, занимающихся исследованием зеленой экономики и внедряющих зеленые технологии. Далее это разработка концепций и программ по декарбонизации экономики, привлечение зарубежных отечественных экспертов к решению данных вопросов и данных направлений, разработка и проведение семинаров, круглых столов. Особенно можно акцентировать внимание на том, что именно, как мы говорили, есть цель по развитию именно информационного распространения. Но здесь будет заключаться именно, отсюда выходит данное направление деятельности. То есть будут прорабатываться учебные курсы, лекции, информационные обзоры, информационные, так сказать, короткие видеоролики о вопросах зеленой экономики, поднимающие актуальные и злободневные темы. И следующее направление деятельности – это изучение и внедрение стандартов ESG, то есть зеленая экономика без данных стандартов и без развития, если предприниматели не будут внедрять данные стандарты, мы не сможем построить зеленую экономику. В связи с этим это очень важное направление, которое необходимо проводить параллельно развитию в целом зеленой экономики. И, как уже было сказано, это формирование статистической базы данных. На следующем слайде мы вкратце обозначим, что будет делать Green Hub, то есть какие направления исследований. Они по большей части перекликаются и исходят из поставленных направлений деятельности. То есть это анализ текущей ситуации, разработка видения по формированию политики декарбонизации, формирование модельного инструментария, развитие цифровой экономики на основе зеленых принципов. То есть эти исследования тоже очень важны, потому что Узбекистан ставит перед собой две крупные цели. Это цифровизация экономики и ее озеленение. Поэтому необходимо определить моменты, как данные направления могут существовать вместе и помогать друг другу. Следующее – это анализ уровня углеродного следа, изучение международного опыта, разработка стандартов ESG и разработка учебных программ. Таким образом, следующий слайд можно? Таким образом, для реализации данных направлений и исследований Green Hub будет функционировать как физически в виде платформы на Института прогнозирования макроэкономических исследований и также в цифровом формате. То есть будет создана специальная цифровая платформа, которая будет объединять все знания и создавать их, упорядочить и систематизировать и предоставлять обществу. Для этого цифровая платформа будет иметь именно такие разделы, как исследования, проводимые Green Hub'ом, база данных, библиотека и курсы, которые будут разрабатываться. Следующий слайд. Подытоживая данную презентацию, хотелось бы обозначить именно, что необходимо для развития и функционирования Green Hub'а, для его успешной для его успешной деятельности. То есть первое, это самое главное, оказание финансовой и технической поддержки. То есть инициатива Green Hub, она именно функционирует на идее в первую очередь, и для ее развития необходима поддержка всех организаций, направлений, всех министерств, ведомств, то есть всех заинтересованных сторон. Следующее – это именно привлечение зарубежных специалистов и оказание методологической помощи. Да, на данный момент Узбекистан имеет очень много специалистов в данном направлении, но опыт, который могут предоставить зарубежные специалисты, которые прошли уже многие этапы, столкнулись со многими проблемами и нашли пути их решения, окажет значительное влияние на ускорение решения данных проблем в Узбекистане. Следующее, что необходимо для Green Hub, это проведение совместных исследований и содействие в организации рабочих процессов. Да, институт имеет свои ресурсы, но данные ресурсы, они ограничены, поэтому необходимо именно объединение всех заинтересованных сторон для именно проведения конкретных исследований и разработки рабочих процессов. Отсюда возникает следующий вопрос, именно содействие в разработке и организации учебных курсов. Только все вместе мы сможем обозначить необходимые проблемы, найти их решение и научить правильно общество, предпринимателей, начиная даже от студентов и школьников, как нужно делать, что нужно внедрять и куда нужно двигаться. То есть мы будем формировать именно сознание, зеленое сознание, уже начиная от детей и заканчивая предпринимателями, что очень важно на сегодняшний день. И последнее – это именно формирование базы исследований и статистической базы данных. То есть, как я уже обозначил, на данный момент существует очень много исследований в данной области. Каждая организация, она имеет свой большой список данных публикаций. И также очень много статистических данных, которые необходимо объединить в одном месте. Для этого необходима помощь всех участников для того, чтобы собрать все это в одном месте и предоставить информацию, которая будет способствовать развитию данного направления. Спасибо всем за внимание.
Спасибо большое, Антон Валерьевич. Вот, то есть это была вот презентация Green Hub. В сухом остатке что это решает? Вопрос, вот, как сказать, матчинга, да, вот есть разные стороны, есть много исследований, они находятся как бы фрагментарно, скажем, есть какие-то исследования в области сельского хозяйства, энергетики, и строительство везде. И вот нужна одна площадка, где все это бы собиралось и было бы доступно для всех остальных. То есть это решает вопрос географии, это экономит время для всех остальных. И это создает институциональную память. То есть вот такие задачи в сухом остатке. Что уже сделано? Мы вот оценили эффект, скажем, от возможного трансграничного углеродного регулирования, как это может повлиять на торговлю. То есть это nexus экономики и экологии. Да? Также мы вот разработали два калькулятора, которые могут быть непосредственно использованы фермерами, да, или же для их выявления их углеродного следа. Также есть калькулятор для выявления вашего углеродного следа касательно автомобиля. Это тоже уже сделано. Есть оценки касательно парниковых газов в сельскохозяйственном секторе, это тоже уже сделано. То есть следующий как бы наш ивент, мы хотим его посвятить именно вот научным как бы исследованиям и нашим первичным результатам. То есть это будет второй ивент. Ну и третий ивент, он будет касательно ESG и вот со стыки с CSR. Это тоже будет где-то в конце мая. В целом вот как бы такая задача. Это вот площадка, где можно будет делать нетворк со всеми экспертами, как бы формировать вот базу данных знаний. И вот мы надеемся, что вот это станет таким хорошим public good. Самое главное, мы выполним свою миссию аналитического сопровождения Министерства экономического развития и сокращения бедности. В целом вот такие вопросы. Если есть какие-то вопросы, да, пожалуйста, заключение, мнение.
I think, yeah, please.
Спасибо большое. Меня зовут Азиз Расулов, Глобальный институт зеленого роста, представительство в Узбекистане. Спасибо большое вам за такую интересную презентацию по созданию зеленого хаба, который будет объединять действительно как бы сеть научно-исследовательских разработок. Я думаю, это очень нужно на сегодняшний день, так как было сказано презентатором, что нету такого вот консолидированного общего как бы подхода, перехода зеленой экономики. и статистических данных. Но если вы позволите, я бы хотел бы как бы предложить, рекомендовать один момент, который имеет очень важное значение для нашей республики. Это как бы правовая система. На сегодняшний день я вот посмотрел сейчас, как бы и существует постановление президента о переходе Узбекистана к зеленой экономике. Но закона как такового нету, потому что закон о переходе зеленой экономики может дать очень многие как бы стимулы для последующего как бы внимания со стороны основных производителей, загрязнителей, индустрии, и я имею в виду потребителей природных ресурсов. Вот. Я бы хотел бы как бы дать мысль на будущее, возможно, рекомендации, так как нетворк «Зеленый хаб», он является как бы будущим стратегическим важным центром по налаживанию информационной, аналитической, статистической базы, также как бы внедрить сюда как бы работу, возможно, по будущему разработке законодательства, потому что я в презентации как бы видел, что есть материалы, которые будут собираться, обрабатываться, но нормативно-правовая база, она тоже важна, возможно, стоит как бы привлекать потенциальных сфер, с юридической сферы, с Министерства юстиции, которая могла бы как бы инициировать, содействовать этому. Вот. Потому что без законодательной, я имею в виду, нормы и базы в дальнейшем, конечно, сложно будет реализовать сам процесс. Потому что на сегодняшний день есть постановление, но как бы закон, он имеет как бы более веские причины для содействия со всех потребителей. Спасибо большое.
Большое, Узбеки.
Want to add some information. I think it's a very interesting presentation, and then we have to, I think, organize some several meetings again, because we already started to discuss about these topics. I think it's the right time to discuss again, to identify some cross-cutting issues, because as I mentioned, we are starting a new program, and those activities can be also somehow included. So at least we can discuss also with you, how can we intensify or better start developed activities, kind of, yeah.
Maybe I will do, if with your permission, some final, finalization and closing remarks. First of all, thank you again, and I want to send special words of thanks to Umid and his team for initiating and organizing this event and establishing the Green Hub. And so I wish good luck and success, and we stay ready to support the activity of this hub. And think about this hub as a open door to everyone. If you feel boring somewhere, please come anytime. There's a special room, and there are good people to speak, to chat with you on very interesting topics. So the door is open to our partners, and I know there are too many things and so good ideas that they all have to go some research expertise, the law or legislation base. And thanks again. And I know we have to talk and continue discussing on several topics, and slowly we'll reach and specify and come to some specific ideas and some concrete ideas and some go to the practical implementation. And in this point, I will stop and say see you in our next meetings. And yeah, just for your announcement, next month we have a poverty reduction forum in Bukhara. It's going to be on 26th and 27th. And we are also organizing several meetings under the ESPOS of Uzbekistan Economic Forum, which is going to be held in September this year. So the main topics in Economic Forum is green and connectivity for this year. So several roundtables at the Ministry of Finance, at the Ministry of Economic Development, and so Poverty Reduction Forum. It's the second name of the Poverty Reduction Forum is Inclusive Growth, basically. Okay, so and there will be very good, interesting panels and good discussions, hot debates, and green, of course, will be one of the topics. and human capital and young and digital skills. So access to finance, SME development. Please, if you have any interest on specific ideas, please contact us, either UMIT and our institute, or so we can leave our so can we give the UMIT's number for now, so you can get in touch with UMIT, or you can get direct contact to us as well, to the ministry, and we will be happy to discuss and cooperate within this forum as well. My phone number is 93 544 1381. So it's a Telegram number, 93 544 1381.
And you respond.
Yeah, I will. I usually respond. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, 2 moments. Let's have a group photo, and then some of us can move to a coffee break and